Okay,
All
we
right, I
are
think we're
recording. We
live.
are going.
Or I'm saying live, but we're not live, but we are recording. So,
We are recording live.
yes.
Well, Jeremy J. Amund Johnson, nice to meet you.
Nice to
Finally
meet
meet
you as well, face to
you. Yep,
face at least, or
face to
video
face.
to video, right?
Battle buddy,
Yes,
battle
yes.
buddy. Project Forward. So, how are you feeling about Project Forward?
So far, I've been really blown away at what has been taught to us, just the perspective that I've seen from Pace, our instructor, and the camaraderie with other, I guess we can call ourselves students in the Project Forward. I'd like to see that as well. That's been encouraging. Now, there's another side to it where I'm also a bit afraid, not in a bad way, but I'm pushed, I'm challenged in a good way to kind of move beyond my comfort zone. And so, just being honest, that there is a bit of fear, a little apprehension there, but that's okay. I think that I need not so much the fear, but I need to move beyond that fear and push through it. Otherwise, I mean, what would courage really be if there were no fear to overcome? So,
Exactly.
yeah, so those are my sentiments so far with Project Forward.
Cool, cool. Well, I'm glad we're getting to do this interview, and I'm glad we got this stuff working. So, our topic was how do regular people get into real estate investing, right? Is that what we
Yes,
did? All right.
yes.
So what are some key steps that regular people like you took to start their journey in real estate?
Excellent question. For me, one thing that was really important, and probably the most important, I'm sure many would say this in this space, would be a mindset change. There was a desire for some time and even an interest in real estate, but without the mindset change, there was really no resolve to take action such that I was willing to put other things aside in order to get what I needed to get done. And that mindset shift specifically for me started with how I regarded my W 2 job. For a while, I was thinking, oh, I need to get out of here. But that's not my perspective anymore. My perspective now came from another kind of real estate influencer that I'd seen on YouTube, calls himself Storm Leroy. And he was really helpful. I think he calls himself the 9 to 5 millionaire. And he suggested that your job is your first business partner. And I took that to heart and it changed my perspective on my job and said, you know what? I work for my company, but in a sense, my company also works for me. It serves a purpose, it meets needs, and it does what I need it to do. And when it comes to a point where the partnership's no longer working out, that's when I need to walk. So that calmed me down, and I wasn't in such a hurry to leave, and I'm still there now. But it also it helped me with that mindset that this is serving its purpose. It will not dominate my life, but it will serve the purpose that it needs to serve, and I will also serve their purposes as well, and we both win.
That's a good deal. That's a good deal.
So that'd be kind of, I guess, one step. There are others, but that would be
So,
one.
so Storm Leroy, he was one of your first inspirations in getting into business and real estate.
Yes, him and another gentleman named Jamal King. He was a police officer in the Chicago area, and he got into real estate and built wealth through real estate. So I was also helped by watching some of his videos, encouraged by his story, and really opened me up to realizing that this is something that I could do rather than it just seeming like something kind of abstract and out there and that's for other people. No, this is for me also. And so that was a key shift for me.
Cool. It's good to hear about some other people's inspirations. I'm gonna probably you said Stormy. I think I've heard that name before. I'm gonna look that one up. But my
Hmm.
next question is: are there any specific strategies or approaches that a guy like me and you can use to invest in real estate with limited funds?
There are quite a few. And as you and I both know now, so many. It almost behooves a person first to learn and spend some time learning, because otherwise we can kind of get inundated with all the different methods, and they end up being in our minds jumbled together as a kind of blur. And that's another thing that serves as a kind of impediment to taking action. And but as far as methods go, there's definitely wholesaling, where you really don't even need earnest money. You can use a gator lender for your earnest money, or a fractional lender for your earnest money, or a transactional lender for your double close. There's also fractional and transactional lending, or gator lending. That's also something that someone can get into with limited funds. And as we're also learning, someone with little or no money can buy a house creatively, or buy a property creatively, or even buy a business creatively, in some cases, even with no money down. But what it takes is know-how, and I haven't heard anyone say this before, so I might be the first, but others have definitely mentioned the concept, know who. So know how and know who. As I'm told, real estate is a relationship business. So that's another key thing to learn.
Yeah, building relationships definitely important. So, but you hit on a lot. What my next question was going to be too is how important is education and knowledge in real estate investing, and what resources would you recommend to others?
Ooh, good question. I'd say it is of utmost importance, because a lot of our fear in something like investing in real estate, but it can apply to other things as well, where there are obvious risks involved in terms of building wealth. But specifically with real estate, the way that you overcome those fears is through education. You learn what the risks are. What if this deal goes bad? You learn specifically what could go wrong with that kind of deal. And then you develop a strategy to overcome that risk. So that's how you learn to manage it. And the more you learn to manage the risk, okay, this can happen, this can happen, this can happen. But here's what I would do if this were to happen. And so that's where education becomes really valuable, especially for newbies like us.
Good answer. Good answer. Definitely. Yeah. I've come in and I'm green. I started green as can be. I had no experience in real estate, and I can say I'm pretty much been an introvert a lot of my life too. So I'm having to learn a whole lot. And you
Mm,
talked about being, the fear and yeah, and being uncomfortable, but I don't know. It's like I'm growing to like it for some reason.
yes, yes. And I guess I didn't answer the second part of your question. Recommended resources. I would suggest that there are definitely books out there. There's Real Estate by the Numbers. And I think that is, I'm trying to remember the authors. I think Jay Scott and Dave Meyer, I believe, but it comes through Bigger Pockets. And
Okay.
so if you run a search, Real Estate by the Numbers, Bigger Pockets, that's a helpful book. It's kind of a somewhat of like a reference tool by and large. So there's a lot of data in there, a lot of data, hence Real Estate by the Numbers. And so that would be something good to have on your shelf. But it's in terms of podcasts, I was largely educated through podcasts, and I would highly suggest Bigger Pockets. There are a wide variety of perspectives there in Bigger Pockets, and they have a variety of podcasts as well. They have the real estate podcast, a rookie podcast, a money podcast. Each of these, in some way, are tied to real estate, even if tangentially. And so I highly recommend them. And I heard about them through Storm Leroy, and they have been a tremendous value to me and have helped me to learn a lot. I would also say if someone is interested in commercial multifamily, like apartment complexes, Peter Harris's Commercial Property Advisors has been really, really helpful for me, helped me to learn a lot, especially the differences between commercial multifamily and residential. And I'd say a third for us, obviously, would be Pace Morby and Creative Finance. So you run a search for Pace, and I would recommend any of his videos, and of course his book as well. So those would be enough to get someone started. There are others, but those three will keep someone busy for a while.
Okay. Good answer. Good answer. So that brings me. I'm going to skip one question real quick, and so how did you come across? How did you come to know Pace Morby and come to SubTo?
Excellent question. I heard him being interviewed on Bigger Pockets.
Okay.
And yes, and I heard there were a number of things that resonated with me. Not only the creative finance aspect, but also I'd probably say above all else, what attracted me to Pace Morby and his way of approaching real estate is the go-giver mindset and the reality that we can all win in these transactions. It doesn't have to be a dog eat dog. And that is, to one degree or another, how I thought about real estate and business to a degree. And now that's changed. Now, if everyone doesn't win, I don't really want to do the deal. I
Right.
think all of our needs should be met. And so we should first find out what everybody needs, what everyone's after, what everybody is trying to accomplish, and then see if there is a way that we could come up with a kind of hybrid solution to meet everyone's needs. And more likely than not, or more often than not, I should say, that is possible and it is done in many cases.
Cool. Cool. So how long have you been in SubTo now?
Not very long. For me, I joined back in May. And so it's been about 3 months now.
Okay. Now, are there any specific type of properties or markets that are more suitable for regular Joe like me and you?
That I'm not quite sure. I would say that knowledge of the market, in some sense, kind of trumps a lot of other aspects. So if you know the market that you're interested in, then I think that you can succeed. Now, not all markets are the same, especially now. Some markets are hot and some markets are slow. So I guess that would kind of be a yes and no, because for me, I happen to be, or you and I both happen to be in a market that is one of the better markets in the
Mhm.
nation. And so if we lived somewhere else, maybe not so much. But I'm kind of thinking beyond that to even where someone might decide to invest out of state. And so if they invest themselves in a market for good reasons, I think that a newbie can thrive. And so, yes, some markets are better than others, and therefore some markets are better than others for newbies. However, even if the newbie is in a good market, that newbie will not get good deals if he or she does not learn that market.
Right, right. Or take action. Yeah.
Yes.
So, last question. We're getting close. We went over 10 minutes. So I figure we go to 15 if that's cool with you. And I think this one will carry us to it. But I was just gonna say, what are a few of your goals with SubTo and with our new journey in Project Forward?
Ooh, great questions. With SubTo, it would be to make connections with others, especially wholesalers, experienced investors, multifamily brokers, and contractors. And also just people in general, other people in the real estate space, people that have the vision, people that have the drive, people that can motivate me so that we can motivate each other. Now, as far as I don't remember the second part of your question. So would you mind repeating that second part?
Oh, just
Sorry.
your goals in a subject to, and then what are some of your goals in Project Forward?
Yes, Project Forward. That's what I've forgotten. So for Project Forward, it would be to develop one would be to learn what is taught, right? To overcome fears and push forward, hence Project Forward. But this idea of podcast and content creation was already right up my alley. So I want to learn how to do this and learn how to do it well. So I do want to create quality content and learn how to get that content out there so that ears can hear it and eyes can see it. Insofar as it's worthy of that. If I put out trash, then I don't want anybody to hear it or see it. But if it's good, then they need to hear it and they need to see it.
Right. Good answer. Good answer. That's my goal too.